Have you convinced yourself into thinking that you were just one of a kind, that you were so unique and so original, only to be told or even shown in life that you're really not? You're really not as unique and special as you think, per se. Yes, we all are special. We all are individually beautiful. However, there are over 8 billion people on this planet, and there's only a few personality types. And you're going to come across some people with these different personality types. Which one are you? Which one do you think you are? Which one do you perpetrate to be you in real rap? It's just simply not you. We're going to get into that today. Get comfortable, okay? Because we're going to get down and dirty. Hey, what's good, y'all? Welcome, 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 welcome. This is Tamai Robles. I am your credit expert. I am the owner of FixMyCreditNow850.com. I'm the host of my podcast, Coast to Coast Credit. I'm the High Desert president out here in Victorville, California. I had to remember my title, y'all. I'm the president of the NAREP High Desert chapter. There you go, in Victorville, California. What's good, everybody? What's good? Before I get into it, I gotta say my thank yous. Again, thank y'all for listening, downloading, sharing, referring people over one time to whomever is out there in Florida. Referring people over to me. You're amazing. I appreciate you so much. You are giving me an opportunity to help even more people, especially during these times. These uncertain times are super important, but I just don't know who you are. People are telling me your name. I still don't know who you are, but thank you, right? Thank you for people listening to me on the other end of the globe. It's what, Asia, all the continents, real rap. Like, I'm not going to shout out the continents, but all the continents, there's people in different countries listening to me, and I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate it. Locally, I love and appreciate the support. Thank you so much. Now let's get into it. I'm gonna warn y'all. I'm gonna keep it a beam. This might be a little lengthy because we're talking about personality traits, and I'm gonna be honest, this may hit home. And if you think I'm talking about you personally, I'm gonna just say I'm gonna stick to my guns. A hit dog will holler. But guess what? All y'all gonna be hollering because these personality types do affect all of us, including myself. And that's what I'm going to talk about. So, what actually got me to this episode was multiple things that I'm going through personally, professionally. And I was actually looking on Facebook at someone from my hometown that is pretty well known. He experienced something where someone stole, it was actually a crackhead, stole some equipment that was delivered to his home, and he was super duper waiting for it. And he needed it for some show that he was doing. The crackhead stole it. He tracked the crackhead down. It was crazy because I'm saying it's crazy because what ultimately wound up happening was he showed his aggression, he showed his frustration to the crackhead that, you stole from me. This is wrong. I have you on video. The crackhead kept denying it or whatever, but he didn't bust his ass. Okay. He didn't punch him in the face. He didn't stomp him down to the ground. He did express how he felt, and he wound up in the end helping this man. And as he's helping the man, he's explaining to him, "You hurt me. Don't forget this. Okay, it could have went left, but who I am and who I've turned into, who I am today, boom, this is not that today, right? But if in not we're all not like that. You could hit someone else and they may handle you a completely different way. And it got me to thinking, like, you know what? That's that man's personality. I don't know him. Like, I know of him. We actually went to the same school. the same high school. I was a freshman, he was a senior. I'm sure he will not remember me, but I knew of him. And even back then, his personality seems to have been the same. He was a cool dude then. He's a cool dude now. He's city famous. Maybe more people know him. I don't know, but in the streets of Philly, like we super know this guy. He's kept the same type of personality. If anything, he's gotten better. So that's also we what we got to talk about today. We have to talk about it. What personality type are you? Okay. What type of personality traits do you surround yourself with? Because remember, you are who you attract. Look at your inner circle. I'm not a fan of Will Smith. I know I'm from Philly, but after he punched that man in the face publicly, I lost all respect for him. I didn't really like him like that anyway, but it's like you give somebody a certain level of respect sometimes based off of what they've accomplished in life and their achievements. And this is still at the end of the day, a black man from Philly who became successful. He didn't make it out the hood because Winfield ain't the hood, especially not during his era, but he still worked hard and made a lot of achievements. So I respect him on that level. But once he slapped Bull, I was cool. But years ago, he made a powerful statement that I follow to this day. And one of the things that he said, well, the thing that he said was, if you want to figure out who you are, what type of person you are, look at your closest 5 people in your life. So if you're around low life individuals, scamming individuals, negative people, negative Nancy's, and things like that, if those are your 5 closest friends, that's who you are. You are a reflection of the people that you are surrounding yourself with. If you have a problem with who you are and you're trying to fix who you are, shed them 5 people, get rid of them 5 people, and then surround yourself with the people that with personality traits that you want to have. You want to be like these 5 people. Now, I thought that was pretty cool. But then I thought, like, okay, so if if you're trying to elevate yourself, if you're from, personality wise, you're kind of like low level, respectfully, and you're trying to elevate yourself, do they want to hang out with you? Like, do they want you in your circle? The concept was you want to be around people that you want to strive to be like. You don't have to imitate, you don't have to steal people's personalities and ideas. Let me say that for the people in the back. You do not have to steal people's ideas. You can just strive to be better. You can surround yourself with people better than you and strive to be like them. Okay. Without stealing the show. Okay. But yeah, so it was just interesting seeing what he did because he recorded the whole thing. And I was like, wow, I bump with him. And then, like I said, layered with what Will Smith said, this is kind of how we got here. And then my own personal situation, some of y'all know I'm not going to get deep into it, but if I choose to, I will one day. You know what I'm saying? But it led me to personality types. So I have a personality type, and a lot of people in my past have said you have what's called an A type personality. And I never understood what that meant. I'm like, what does that mean? So even in preparation for this episode, I looked up what an A type personality was. And I don't know how to take that because I don't feel that I'm a personality type A. And some of you guys may know while I'm speaking on this, because we're going to talk about 10 different ones. Like I said, put your seatbelt on. This is going to be good. This is going to be definitely a good episode. But yeah, personality type. So I looked up the personality type A, and what I discovered is this: not they don't use that type anymore. What they've learned, it was like an old school psychological testing where they tested people and they labeled the personality types by in some sort of alphabetical order. And they realize over time as we evolve, like, listen, there's so many different types of personalities. We can't just simply stamp one thing and say, oh, it's definitely personality type A. But because this is something that people to this day in 2025 still say, I am using this verbiage so you understand. What we now call a type A personality is actually an overachiever. And I think that's more fitting to me, but if it's the same, I don't know. But an overachiever is usually someone who's driven, who's focused, and constantly pushing for the next big thing. And it could actually be something like a paper chase, a grind. We call it different things. And in all actuality, you're just focused and determined. Now, I'm not saying that this is a bad thing or a good thing. It's just a thing as far as I'm concerned. This is an observation that people have made. And sometimes people in your life, they just kind of lump you into certain categories. But as I reflect, realistically, yes, I can be an overachiever. Overall, I do think that is my personality. We're going to talk about different personality traits, and you may notice that you are of multiple personalities, and that's okay. But I agree. I think that I have multiple, but I think this is my base. This is my core. One of the things that they like to do is they can't sit still. They're always doing something. Right? Even though I'm an introvert, I'm always doing something internally at home with my business. I actually have multiple businesses, believe it or not. And some of them haven't been successful because I'm like doing so much and the credit business took over. But then within the credit realm, there's like 100 different things that I can do. So it's a lot. I'm always doing stuff. What about you? You tell me, are you on the same page with me? Like, let me know. I also notice I surround myself with the same type of people. I am close to people with this so-called personality type, right? But even though we thrive, we love structure. We love that. Whether we are successful in it or not is another thing. But we do crave it. But underneath the surface, a lot of us were kind of, respectfully, right? We're all over the place. We're all over the place because we need to have this, uh, be successful with all this hustling that we're doing. Okay. But also with these personality traits, keep in mind that there's a positive and there's a negative, with each one in life. There's positive and negative. If you believe in yin and yang, positive and negative, among other things. So I don't like to always hype on or stress negative, but it is a reality. And even being an overachiever, you can be a personality type A and be negative and be extremely destructive. And that plays a part in your personality type as well. So, are you that person even if you're destructive? Are you personality type A? We have another one that is what you call a people pleaser. I'm not that. I'm saying if y'all ain't figured that out, I'm not that. But a people pleaser is the type will basically do anything to avoid conflict just to make people happy. I can say in my own personal life, respectfully, my father and my oldest child are people pleasers. Respectfully. My father knows he's a people pleaser. You know what I'm saying? And if you address him and talk to him about it, he'll be like, yeah, yeah, I guess I am. You know what I'm saying? And then my kid will be like, I don't know what you're talking about, but if you think I am, then I am. You know what I'm saying? They're the yes friend. They're the ones that's gonna over volunteer. Those are the ones that, they're suffering in silence, but they're helping and they're being there. They're doing all the things. They have plans today, but you ask them one thing and they just threw all their plans away just so they could please you. All right. Are you that person? Some people, they don't like to be called people pleasers, but that's what you are. You know what I'm saying? They also thrive off of being liked. That's another thing. That's not my lane. I could care less if you like me or not, but some people, it's very important to them. Very important to them. Now, my oldest says that she doesn't care, but if you know her truthfully, she does care. My father will even say, I don't care if you're somebody don't like me or not. I don't care. Man, that man care. If you met him, you know what I'm saying? And those that have met him, you know exactly what I'm talking about. My pops thrives off of being likes. He loves, like, he walks in the door, he's expecting fanfare. Hey, is that Mr. Wayne? Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah. You know what I'm saying? He loves that. But they do struggle with being heard. And I can agree with that. Like, because I have such a stronger personality than my child, I tend to it gives a feeling like, oh, I'm running over you. And I can tell that I've done that most of her life, because she says something and she stops, because it's almost like she braces herself for somebody to cut her off, and she'll say something, stop, say something, stop. And then my father kind of does the same thing too, but because he's older, he's more graceful with it, and you can just dominate the whole conversation. But they want to please you. They want to make you comfortable and happy, and they will sacrifice their own personal for yours. And that's kind of, I think that's sad, to me. But I'm not that person. He doesn't have a sad life. He actually has a pretty happy, amazing life, but he's just a happy people pleaser. You know what I mean? But the truth is, being kind isn't the same as being available 24/7. So once you stop being a people pleaser, you can start truly showing up, showing up and showing out, as the youngins say, right? Another personality trait is a narcissist. Now, we got to talk about this. I got so many examples, and I'm sure y'all do too. But what I noticed within the past 5+ years is, lately people keep using this word, and it's used in the wrong content and context. I'm sorry, and I don't appreciate it too much. People are like, oh, so and so is a narcissist only because maybe that person is doing something you don't like or something you don't agree with. I was married to a narcissist who called me a narcissist. And I know I'm not a narcissist. You know what I mean? I know what personality trait I am, both good and bad, because I have the mixture of both, and they're very clear and defined. You can easily identify my personality and I'll help you. But narcissists, I'll help you figure out which one is I am if you need to, but I've never been a narcissist. So the actual matter of fact, let's look up the true definition of narcissist. Like, I want to give the textbook version of a definition of narcissist, because people do not understand. So a narcissist is someone with a personality characterized by an excessive self-interest. Let's repeat that again. Someone with a personality characterized by an excessive self-interest, a grandiose sense of an importance, a lack of empathy for others. Now, it says they often crave admiration and attention from others while disregarding the feelings and the needs of those around them. Boom, 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 ba boom. Like, I'm quite sure y'all know what you're dealing with when you're dealing with a narcissist, but just be careful. Like, don't, it's not what you think it is. It's not, oh, because you don't like somebody or the way they said something or whatever. Nah, it goes beyond that. And it's actually, in my opinion, and I do believe, and doctors believe, like, this falls under a mental issue, okay? But narcissists, they like to seek validation. They present themselves with such confidence, and it's you gotta give them credit. Like, it's admirable. Like, wow, you did that. You know what I'm saying? And I can tell y'all some stories. Okay, like I said, I got led to this episode for a reason, and things in my personal life Yeah, led me here, dealing with a narcissist. Okay. But they exude this confidence. So therefore, it's a lot of times, especially in the beginning, it's hard to identify a narcissist because just because you have self-confidence does not mean you're a narcissist. But in their case, they use it to mask insecurities, and that is totally my ex-husband. Totally. That's the difference between me and him because I'm the type of person I'll self-reflect like, am I a narcissist? Like he keeps calling me a narcissist when I call him one. Maybe I am one, but I don't have insecurities like that, right? If I have like any sort of insecurity, I will be honest with you. I need to lose weight. Boom. I said that publicly. Other than I've always been a small, structured female, and then especially since the pandemic and podcasting, child, I didn't gain weight. And if you want to say I'm insecure about anything, is that. But other than that, I ain't insecure about nothing. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing that I am really insecure about at all. I mean, I can't think of anything. So therefore, this isn't a category I fall under. But I love it when people accuse me of things that I'm not, and it's whatever. A lot of times when people do that, especially a narcissist, is they're deflecting. They're deflecting from them to you to distract everyone from the issues that they have going on. And that's what I've been dealing with these past couple of days. Okay. Some Another thing is like everything revolves around their needs and their image. So for those that know, I'm not saying names, whatever. What I've been through these past couple of days is with this fool. He is this. This is exactly who he is. Now, this person threatened my life recently. Actually, it wasn't recent. They've been threatening my life, low key, right? And he talks in codes where he's specifically talking to me because he does not, because of his insecurities, right? We're going to loop this in. Because of his insecurities, he will not speak to anyone else like this. And he feels he can speak to me like this, and that's okay. But as a distraction for what he does, he tells you all the sob story. Like he makes you feel sorry for him as a distraction. So with one hand, he's like, "Oh, woe is me. Oh my God, I'm this. My life is like this. Look at this. Look over here. Look over here." Right? It's sad, right? It makes you want to do something and help me out, right? But then on the other hand, that he has holding behind his back is his true insecure bitch assness. Actually, I wish I had that as a personality trait. I wish bitch assness was a personality trait that I discussed. But you'll be able to fill in the blanks. But he hides behind his hand that type of personality because that's who he is. Now, it is what it is. I don't judge, but just don't come to me with your bullshit. And that's where we need to be coming from. Don't come at me with your bullshit. But that's a sign too of narcissism. Another thing, as far as like relationships are concerned, personal, intimate relationships are concerned, I know the young kids call it love bombing, where that's actually a sign where the person is overly pouring themselves on you. It doesn't mean real love doesn't feel like that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying when you're dealing with a narcissist, you know what I'm saying? It's like so early in the game. Oh my God, I love you. Oh my God, I'm thinking of you. Oh my God, the future. I mean, I just met you 2 days ago. How we get here, right? So that's also a sign of narcissism. But one of the things they do is they leave a trail of confusion a lot of the times and self doubt. Like you started off as a type A personality, and we seem to, okay, if I'm gonna be a class A personality, an overachiever, whatever, why we keep attracting these people? Like, why do we keep attracting these people? But we attract narcissists like it's nobody's business, right? But then they leave the trail of confusion, especially with people with stronger personalities, because when we first met them, they gave the illusion that they were also type A personalities when they weren't. So now that veil starts to slowly come down, we're now kind of confused. So we're emotionally connected, we got love bombed, or even on a professional level, we were so totally drawn in by their story that now we're starting to see holes being poked in their story. We're kind of confused, like we still want to be there because we believed what we believed in the beginning, the lie that they sold us, the facade that they gave us, and then we kind of ignore the red flags. So that's a thing. This is what they do. This is how they live. This is how they survive. I've worked with narcissists before. I've been in relationships with, like I said, I was married to one, and I've associated myself with this most recent one because this person was introduced to me as a good guy. Like, so his mask tricked everyone, right? But the crazy thing is, it always starts off sweet, but it ends in drama. The good thing is, it does eventually end, but it ends usually very, very drastically. So try to your best to see if you can spot them. Spotting them is key. I'm saying, and once you notice it, try to keep them at bay as best as you can. Trust me, just save yourself. Now, another personality trait is a loner. I will tell you, I'm very much a loner. Some people don't believe it, but I am. I'm a loner, type A. Sam, a couple of these personalities wrapped in one. But ultimately, yes, I am an overachiever, but I'm also a loner. What about yourself? I need y'all to talk to me. What are ya? Okay, are you a loner? So, what I've done a little bit of research on as far as loners are concerned is they say that loners value solitude and they avoid crowds or any sort of emotional sharing. So when I am explaining these different personality types, even though I'm telling you stories and experiences that I've gone through, that doesn't mean that's the only way these personality types present themselves. It comes in different forms. You can be a loner and give and go out, right? But if you're internally like craving peace and solitude and your separation, it comes in different forms. I can give you an example. I was recently telling my friends, like, I was mentally going through some things and I kind of just needed a whole different, I was trying to figure it out, right? And I needed a different type of environment to help me figure whatever it was I was going through. This is going to sound mad crazy, rock out with me. I I went to the casino. I spent some money. Okay. Don't judge me, judge your mother. But I went to the casino and I stayed for hours upon hours. The whole time I'm playing these games, in my head, I'm trying to figure out how to solve this issue, this internal personal issue I was dealing with. And I felt, even though I was around so many people in and out, you know what it's like in a casino. People come in, people come out. Some people talk to you, some people don't. People sit next to you, whatever, whatever. I felt so alone, even though I was around so many people. And that's why I intentionally put myself in that scenario, because I knew that I know the feel of the casino environment. And so I I still accomplished the goal. I felt alone even though I was surrounded by so many people because I didn't know them people. They didn't know me, and I had zero emotional connection to these people, and that was great. The environment I was actually in, I was surrounded by emotions and personal relationships. I couldn't resolve my issue. I know it sounds mental. I know it sounds mental, but I actually solved the issue. Like, it felt great. Okay. But that's just a different way of thinking or knowing about the loner and how they move. They're usually deep thinkers, creative, and very independent. I never look at myself personally as creative. I know a lot of loners are, though, and they pour themselves into their work. They get creative with their work, whatever they're into. And yes, they are independent. Now, what is the downside of it? Because it sounds like, hey, that's great. They're brilliant. Well, sometimes they can isolate themselves to the point where they don't know how to interact with humans. Like, It just comes down to that. They struggle to build relationships. There's a difference. And then there's a difference between like being private and being an emotionally unavailable. Most loners are like emotionally unavailable. Okay. So what they need to do is learn that people don't equate to losing control. Being around people doesn't mean you're losing control. So that's again something to think about. Now, this is one of my favorite personality traits to talk about, and this is where it's going to get juicy. The manipulator. That I can admit, I will admit, I stand 10 toes down, is who I am. Who I am. Okay. Everybody can sit here and tell us how great they are, how amazing, all the things that they've accomplished, what they've done for people. A lot of people never sit there and say, I am also this, and say a negative side of themselves and mean it and be truthful with it. I am not that person. I have always been and will always be a manipulator because this is my personality trait. Okay. Now I'm going to explain to you guys the pros and the cons to this situation because you guys are like, wow, well, you're a manipulator. Let me think all the things that you've done in your life. And oh, this whole time you were faking it. Okay. Yes and no. Okay. Well, yes and no. But let's first get into what exactly a manipulator is. Even the word manipulate. Okay. Because that's the thing. You guys, us as a people, we need to understand the true definition of the words that we're using. So the word exactly, actually, let's give the definition, okay? The actual definition of manipulate means to handle or control. Handle or control, usually in a skillful manner. Okay. As far as being a human being, you want to control or influence either a person or a situation, and you usually do it cleverly, unfairly, unscrupulously, all the leads. Okay. Now, just because you are manipulating a situation, a lot of it has a negative intonation to it. It doesn't mean that all the time. It doesn't mean a negative. It's not a negative. At least that's not how I look at it, right? But manipulators, they come off. We're doing the personality test types, right? All right, cool. Manipulators seem very helpful, very sweet, even generous. And I highlight that. I highlight that, especially if y'all know who I'm talking about in some of these situations, but their actions have strings attached. There's always a reason why they're doing something, and you may not feel it. A good manipulator is not going to allow you to feel that they have negative intentions. Okay, so they're going to come off. They're not going to love bomb you like the narcissist. It's going to feel natural. Okay, but in all actuality, they got some other things going on. They have other plans for you, and so on and so forth. They twist words. Sometimes they guilt trip. Some play victim when it benefits them. I'm not that because I've never been that, and I'm gonna get into it in a minute. The type of manipulator I am, but I'm just trying to explain to y'all what this particular personality type is because it's out here, and you guys confuse words, and you can't do that. You know, manipulator and a narcissist are two different things. All right. Now, they deal with, okay, I've dealt with this. I've dealt with manipulators too, personally and professionally. And some of you guys know, yes, I did relocate to California for to help the homeless, to help the community. I'm very passionate about that. But there was also another reason, and I'll when I feel comfortable about it, I'll tell you another reason. But it had something to do with another individual. It played a part, and that person actually out manipulated me, and I rarely see it. Right, I rarely see it. I can say maybe 2 times in my life someone has been a better manipulator than me, so to speak. And when it happens after you realize you've been manipulated, I'm telling you, it tears your soul apart. So I get it. I get it. So I can say I don't practice manipulation in a negative sense in the way that I'm explaining anymore. I've stopped doing that. I want to say, ooh, I want to say a couple years after my firstborn was born. So she's about to be 19. So I say about 17 years, I can officially say I have stopped being a manipulator in a negative sense, a manipulator of people, manipulator of situations, um, emotionally and things like that. Somebody's ringing my doorbell, y'all. Hold on for just a second. Okay, I'm back, y'all. Y'all didn't even know I was going. But anyway, every time I told y'all I don't edit. I'll pause, but I don't edit. Okay. But anyway, let me explain to y'all just to give you clarification of what type of manipulator I am, what type of manipulator I was to and how I got to where I'm at today. It's not going to be long and drawn out, but I need you guys to understand these types of personality traits, and you'll understand why towards the end. But anyway, the type of manipulator. So first of all, I've always been perceived as a very intelligent person. If your most manipulators are very intelligent, you have to be intelligent in order to be a manipulator because it's almost like you're playing chess with life and you're playing chess with different scenarios. So you're thinking ahead. So if I do this, then the person typically is going to do this. I don't want them to do this. I want them to do that. So if I act like this or show this person this, then I will get these types of results. If you're not that intelligent, and I'm just saying that with all due respect, then you're never going to be a good manipulator. Inclusive of being a manipulator, you are a liar. I have always been a liar. I don't lie now, and I can explain to you why that stopped as well. But from a child into I will say my early 20s, I stopped being a liar. So that's a huge amount of time. A kid is a kid is a kid. Kids lie. But coupling that with being a manipulator, you create a whole different beast. During these times, and you can hear my backstory in my podcast, during these times, I just didn't love myself. There was nothing more to it than that. I'm not going to go into whole detail of my life. Just listen to the podcast. But I did have a colorful life. We'll leave it at that. I had somewhat of a colorful life. And through that, I didn't love myself. I did not love others. I'm never giving an excuse. It's never good to manipulate and be a liar, okay? Or a negative manipulator and a liar. But that's just how I walked around this world. I fuck you and fuck me, you know? And I would create scenarios to survive in certain situations. Sometimes it didn't have anything to do with surviving. It was just because I could do it, because I knew I was smart enough to do it. I knew I was very intelligent. It was playing on other people's intelligence. And it just wasn't, it's not a good thing. But at that time, me being a manipulator, it was euphoric. It felt good to me to manipulate situations. Um, and then I would meet other manipulators and we don't really hang out with each other too much. Like, I feel once we kind of know each other, oh, you're a manipulator and a liar too. Okay, great. Let's find other people to manipulate because this ain't it, right? When you deal with a manipulator and a liar and you're both doing it at the same time, it just gets stupid. It gets stupid because you know you're lying to each other. Now, I could tell you there's this one time back in the day, I was cool. I had a godson, and me and his mother and I were really super cool at the time. And she met this guy and she liked him. She No, my ex-boyfriend my boyfriend at the time introduced her to him, and then they liked each other, they hit it off. Come to find out, this kid was a crazy manipulator. Like, when I say there were 2 times I was manipulated, this guy was the first time. And I'm usually a good judge of character because you have to be if you're a manipulator, because you can't be manipulating just anybody. So I have to know character, someone's character, be at least to some degree. So this guy, he was telling her all these things, but then him and I would have, like, friendly conversations that she knew that we would have conversations. But he would just talk about all this stuff and it would just seem great. But something told me this is some bullshit, right? Something told me it's some bullshit. So I decided to figure out where he lived at, because he said he lived one place. Kind of find out he didn't live there. And then it was just all the things. Kind of find out I went directly to his house, and he was so scared to see me, like, how did she get here? And yeah, this is why you can't be with a manipulator. It was crazy. I He tricked me, he tricked my friend, he switched up the whole uh situation that we had together, like, him with my being best friends with my boyfriend, and him trying to date my friend, because again, he had ulterior motives, which was to do whatever he wanted to do with the my friend. And I think he just wanted me to believe that he was something that he wasn't, so I can convince his friend that he was this great guy, and he wasn't. And I know it sounds stupid, but it is dumb. A lot of the cases, it is simply dumb. I remember when I first entered the foster care system, the first couple of nights. And after, it was scary. I was only 16. It was a very scary situation. And my friends can attest to this if they even remember I used to do this. I am initially not from the hood. Like, I'm from the suburbs. And when I got kicked out the house and thrown into foster care, I went from living in a very financially well set lifestyle straight into poverty. I've never been exposed to poverty at that level, because the city where the foster care system where I was at was so poor. One time for Chester, I love Chester, I love Chester, but anyway, it's like almost a third world country. You know what I'm saying? It's not as bad, but it's just really destitute. And I didn't know anyone. I did That's a whole different culture that I wasn't exposed to. And I didn't know how to adapt. And when I spoke like a valley girl. You guys probably can't think of that right now, but I spoke like a valley girl. And then I got people in the hoods. I'm like, yeah, I mean, and I was terrified. So they'd be like, where you from? If you're from the hood, and you already know how it is. If you're different, they're stepping to you like, who are you? What are you doing here? Where you come from? All that, right? And so I made up this whole facade. I made up this name. I made up this image, and I made it seem like I was crazy. Don't fuck with me. I will kill you and your whole family. Like, I not literally, but I'm just saying, I was just trying to seem so scary. And I'm just this short, tiny, petite girl at the time in the hood. And I was so convincing. It wasn't that I was convincing to some people. I think they just looked at it like, she has got to be something or other enough where it's her against us. So you know what, whatever it is, we're just not gonna bother her. I was not bothered at all. You know what I'm saying? But I kept lying to people. I was lied. Lied. I would never tell people what my background was. I never told them the truth about me, because it was a survival technique to me as far as I was concerned. But eventually I just got so good at it, it got worse and worse, or the lie got bigger. I manipulated everyone around me, close friends, the people I was living with. And also, one thing about manipulation, it keeps you emotionally detached. I also am the type of person where I don't get emotionally attached easily. I used to say never, and as I get older, I find myself to be contradicting myself. That's how I can easily say I'm not a manipulator. It's just, not in the negative sense that we assume when we hear manipulation, but because of just like my family background, we don't easily get attached to people. You can say all the sad stories in the world, you can cry, we can see something traumatic in front of us, and it's just like, oh well, I'm sorry that happened, if we even say that, and we just move on. That's another benefit to being a manipulator as far as I was concerned. But I've manipulated and lied. My resumes lies. Like I would manipulate. So as time went on, naturally you are supposed to develop as a human being, right? I mean, we can all agree to that. You start off one way and you end your life hopefully a different character. Not everyone changes though, and that's the unfortunate thing. And the goal in my life, if I feel, if you're God fearing, regardless of what your spiritual background is, you want to end your life, or you want to live the best life possible. So by the time you transition to the next phase of spirituality, whichever you believe that is, you want to be able to say, you know what, I did the best that I can do, and I try to be as positive as possible. You want to try to end on a high note. Some people don't care about that. Some people don't think like that. And I can honestly say I didn't necessarily think like that either, but life forced me to evolve in a better direction. That's why I am no longer a manipulator in a negative sense. I have destroyed a lot of people's lives when I was younger, being a manipulator, being a liar. I've hurt a lot of people that tried to help me. Manipulators are amazing at that. I've lost a lot of really good friendships that because I was a manipulator. And it wasn't necessarily that I got caught, it's people felt things that it was just off. Like they might not have been intelligent enough to realize that they're being manipulated. But you know what? You don't have to be intelligent to identify a problem when you feel that it's wrong. So, one of the things I teach my kids is if it feels wrong, it is wrong, right? So, if you feel that something is off about a person, it's better to be safe emotionally than sorry. Okay. And again, I'm currently or was currently going through that these past couple of days. Now, I didn't feel hurt and bad that I lost a friend. And that's a problem, right? Like, wow, you spent time, and I'm telling you, when my manipulation game is on point. Like, I can manipulate and lie to you for years and make you feel comfortable, like I'm the best friend or lover or whatever that you ever had in your life, and will drop you like a bad habit. Like it was like that was my mentality because I was never emotionally connected to people like that. People would be emotionally connected to me, but I wouldn't and be connected to them. Another strange thing about me being a manipulator and a liar is some of my closest friends were the opposite of me. Manipulators don't like looking in the mirror. And it was to the point where literally I did not like looking in the mirror. And people would say, "Oh, you're attractive." At the time I was, young, trim, slim, and perky. Okay. Like, you know what I'm saying? People were like, "Oh my God, you're so." People were physically attracted to me, but I knew I was an ugly person. I knew that um, I was doing harm, emotional harm to people by lying to them, being disrespectful, nasty, setting people up to fail. Like, yes, I did these things. Um, and I was so good at it that I knew I was an ugly person, so I literally didn't look in the mirror, and therefore I couldn't have friends that were like me because it would remind me of who I was every day. Remember what Will Smith said, if you want to know what type of person you are, look at your 5 closest friends. I'm not going to have 5 friends that are manipulators. Do I need to be reminded that I ain't shit? No. But one thing I did have is I had really, really good friends that were just beautiful souls. They were just literally like, when they smiled, it looks like the heavenly gates just opened up. And I remember, I have a friend named Gemma, this Philippine chick in Philly. There's a lot of cultural divides within the city. I don't know if it's still like that because I haven't been there in a while. And there's a pretty nice, prominent the Philippine community. And plus, the high school I went to, it was multicultural. So she was just Gemma Cruz. I will never forget. And she was just such a beautiful person. And a lot of my friends were like that. And I loved them so much that I would keep them at bay because I knew I was such a manipulator. I didn't want to like accidentally manipulate them or disrespect them. So I cherished them. So I was around when I was around, but then I kept my distance on purpose. And I actually, as adults, I think, not as adults, we were older, and I said something, and it separated our friendship, but it wasn't anything to do with manipulation. Some people can't handle my type A personality, and I didn't know how to control it at that time. I was a young adult. But anyway, some manipulators have that. Now some don't have that, and I was lucky enough to have that. And I say that for a reason, because it it taught me, as I got older and stopped being a manipulator and a liar, that you have to cherish people, be around them. They are your friends for a reason. They love you for a reason, manipulation and all. You know what I'm saying? But and so I appreciate that. Over time, though, there was this, I called the time I was a manipulator and a liar, the dark times in my life. So if you ever have a conversation with me and I'm telling you, when you're asking me about my life and I tell you about it, I'll say, oh, these were my darker days. So my darker days, I was a manipulator and a liar, and practice that in a negative aspect. But there was this time in my life I felt like there was just change coming. I don't know if you guys have felt that, where it just feels like the chapter in your life, one chapter is ending and another one is starting. It's a new beginning. And if you believe in astronomy and astrology, the stars and the moons are aligning, and it's just, it's the year of the bear, whatever you believe in. It just felt like something within me was changing. I didn't know what it was. It wasn't the fact that I had a baby a couple years prior. You would have thought that would have changed my life. Excuse me, made me not a manipulator. Nah, that did not do it. I was a good mom, always have been, always will be. I didn't let any negativity affect how I raised my daughter. But I was still negative and I was still manipulating people with something wasn't right. I didn't know what it was. Something wasn't right. And it just was a dark time. I literally would move around in the dark. I wouldn't have the light on. I wouldn't allow sunshine in my home. And I would never continuously, I would not look in the mirror. I did not like looking in my face. I did not like looking at my face, in my eyes. You know, I was too ugly to myself. And what I wound up doing was I would have like deep, long conversations with God, um, personal conversations, and I was just tired of myself. I was just tired. You know what I'm saying? And that is when I decided. It took a while because I was such an ugly person for so long. This was not an overnight process. This took years, but the beginning step was knowing that I was the problem, and I was causing a lot of the problems in my life, in my friendships, in my relationships, in my work. The type of work I was doing, it wasn't anything major, but everything I touched, I was destroying it. And I used to love it, and then now I hated it, you know? And then I would say, you know what? My first step, I'm not going to lie anymore. I just refuse to lie. I won't lie. And then when I got into situations where like, oh, I think I should lie now, I would say, you know what? Let me just tell the truth. And then I realized that people literally can't handle the truth. And I used to lie to people to hurt people, but actually telling the truth hurts more than the lie. So that manipulation, that manipulative spirit was still in me, but I just wasn't going to lie. So I was telling the truth to hurt people, Oh, you want to know about yourself? Boom, I tell you, this is how I feel about you. This is what you are. Here are the facts of the matter. You know what I'm saying? Let me look this up. Okay, this is you. And what's up? What's up with it? You know? And so there was that. And that was a phase. And then I still have that truth serum. Okay. I don't know if it's a Philly East Coast thing because when I talk to my East Coast people, they always keep it a beam with me and they don't care what my feelings are. And I love it. And I still give that. But now that I'm in California, I got to tone it down and say, you're a really great person. And first of all, like you got to do all the things. It's gross, but it's an adjustment period. I'm here now, right? But then the manipulation spirit. Well, Tamaya, why are you still manipulating? So this is why. How I feel, I know we're talking about personality types. How I feel about personality types is it's kind of like what they say about energy, where energy doesn't die, it just changes form. So does your personality. I fully believe that that is just your personality. I will always be a manipulator. And I think that's why I'm great at credit. Like I'm great at credit to manipulate and to change a situation to work in your favor. That is what a manipulator is. My mom used to tell me in my dark days when I was a child, you're extremely intelligent. You do so much, right? And you have the power to do a lot. But if only you used your powers for good, you would be amazing. And that has always stuck with me. And she's right. So after about, I think I was in my dark phase and changing out, shedding the negative of me and walking into optimism, right? Which felt I'm gonna be honest, when I stopped being a manipulator, that whole process, it felt disgusting. I was shedding my old self. I was shedding something that I held near and dear to my heart, which was being this negative person, this destructive, gross, horrible, just a horrible person to this beautiful, positive, optimistic individual. That whole transition felt horrible. I felt like I was losing a friend that I needed to lose, but I couldn't stop the process of moving forward. I couldn't stop the natural evolution of being a better person. So what that meant was I was always a positive person, but I chose the evil route, right? But being a manipulator and changing situations for the better will just never left me. And I shed being a liar, I shed hurting people intentionally, I shed setting people up for failure and setting situations up so just for fun to do. I did all of the things, but I realized I couldn't shake being a manipulator. And I prayed about it and all that. And I eventually realized that you can manipulate situations for the better. You can actually encourage people. You can be a supportive system. And that is a form or influence. And you can say influence is not manipulation, whatever the case may be. If somebody comes to you feeling negative and your intentional decisions and conversations with that person changes how they feel about themselves or their environment, that's a form of manipulation. That is the type of manipulator I am today. I am that. Out of all the fucked up things I've done in this world, I've seen what it can do to people. And that has encouraged me and inspired me to be better and to do better and to take my own self as a reference point and use my own scenarios and my own testimony as an example of what not to be like to help manipulate a situation to be better, to help people become their better selves. That is one of the reasons why I told y'all every time I talk, I'm gonna have these episodes. I'm gonna somehow talk about credit. Now, mind you, I didn't start the credit game so I can enlighten the world. Like it didn't to keep it a beam. That's not what it was. I told y'all this the story of how I became a credit expert. And the thing is, I didn't expect it to I didn't expect it to go as long as it did. It's still going, and I'm good at it. I'm amazing at it. What makes me stick around is that I realize that I have a gift for this type of thing. And the gift and the key component as to why I'm such a great credit expert is I'm an amazing manipulator. That's what it is. That's what it is. I'm an amazing manipulator. Do I lie? Nope. Mm-mm-mm. Nobody, nope, nope, nope. Right? But I will manipulate the situation for my clients to give them an opportunity to have the best life that they possibly can have. I don't break laws. I don't harm people. I don't do anything negative. I take facts so I never have to lie. I research, I research the facts, and then I apply it to their situation to better it. That's the manipulation that I do. Yep, that's what I do. That's what I do. I'm a very much a supporter. I told a friend of mine, I say it often to her that I understand I'm a natural leader, and I don't even see that. Like the fact that people think I'm a leader blows my mind. But whatever, I respect it. You know what I'm saying? I keep being placed in leadership positions, I guess. But it allows me an opportunity to be seen and heard to help more people and to bring light to our situation so we could collectively as a team help more people. That's all I really give a shit about. What other scenarios can I manipulate to help more people to get them what they want? Oh, you're homeless? All right. What's your situation? Great. All right. Let me help your situation and apply the knowledge that I have in your life and change it for the better, and then go on to the next person. But I realize I am a big supporter. I love supporting. I love being in the background, and it's actually people in the background that do the best manipulation. Okay, so I've said a lot. I've said a lot on manipulation, but I'm telling you, that's my twist. Manipulation, that's my thing. Okay, being honest and all that, that's my thing. But not everybody can handle it. Not everybody is ready for change. They say man's greatest fear is the unknown. Okay. And being changing from or evolving or allowing yourself to shed the dead skin, like I did. I literally use these words. You have to kill yourself in order to grow. Okay, you have to kill who you used to be. You got to dead it. You got to murder yourself in order to be the person that you're destined to be to the best capacity that God has ordained for you, if that makes sense. Right. I don't even know if the ordained is the right word. I told y'all I ain't Christian like that. Like, I don't know. Y'all got the Bible down pat, but there's a lot of the devil had the Bible down pat too. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, in my manipulated most darkest days, I would talk about things in the Bible. And child, I ain't read the Bible. I ain't even really read it. I saw some TV shows. Okay. But yeah. Yeah, let's move on. Optimists. And I know I got you. Hopefully y'all are still listening, or if not, skipping to certain parts. But if you're listening, I appreciate it. But optimists, okay, I said the negative, but there's positive personality traits. And we may have some of these. You could still be in your darkness and have some optimism, right? And on thoughts of of an optimistic future. And I believe if you're a good person or you're a human being, everybody has that in them. You just have to tap into it, right? So the optimists, they always see the glasses half full, even when I think maybe you shouldn't, or there's other things you need to pay attention to. And that kind of leads into the next personality trait that we'll talk about. But sometimes people are just so freaking optimistic that they don't see the reality of what's happening. And that's great though. I mean, you got to cherish those people those are the people that I said that I was super close to in my dark days. Those were, they were just so so happy and so joyful, right? Just to the point they refused to see that I was doing anything evil. I would tell my optimistic, goofy ass loving friends, like, hey, I did this to somebody. Like, because I would use them to vent, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would, and they would make me feel better about what I did to somebody that I intentionally did wrong. And then they would just say, you know what, Tamira, you are such an amazing person. I know that deep down inside you didn't mean it. Right. So the negative about being optimistic is the fact that sometimes these personality types, they don't see the real problem. They bypass it. They ignore red flags even when you're blatantly telling them this is what it is. And sometimes that could just be detrimental to them. So, opposites attract. And I do believe that is why that I was around my friends that were like this, because to this day, I'm very overprotective of people that have this mentality. My father is very much like this. In his old age, he's gotten a little grumpier, but he's always been very positive, and I've always been very negative, but my father and I, my whole life, have always been extremely close because of that opposite personality type. Personality, I'm an alpha, he's not, in my opinion. I love you, Dad, if you're listening. But I always knew this, that we were just opposites. But I feel that I have to protect the optimistic person and this type of mentality, because I feel that they kind of set themselves up for not failure, but to they set themselves up and befriend people that they shouldn't, and then they get ran over. And there then comes the realist. I'm a realist too. I feel I'm so many things. Aren't we all though? But the realist is the person that just straight up tells you how it is, doesn't sugarcoat anything. That I'm not going to over exaggerate a situation, straight facts always. And realists are great for like grounding wild ideas. That's where my Leo friends come. I don't know what it is. My daughter's godmother, she's a Leo. All right. My other friend out here, she's a Leo. So her wife and I are Capricorns. Shout out to y'all. And she's a Leo. And it's like she just ground. I don't know if it's a technique. This is something that I call myself a realist, but they really have it down pat. I don't know if you're into signs like that, but Leos are pretty good for that. I admire it so much. But sometimes a realist can come off harsh or too harsh for people. That's something that I am trying to practice, and it's very I'm definitely being challenged out here in California. Definitely being challenged. And but I feel even though it's uncomfortable, it's helping me talk to people better and say you can say the truth without beating somebody in the head. So I digress. You know what I'm saying? Then you have what is called the nurturer. The nurturer, man, listen, I have so much respect and love. They are the caregivers. This is a caregiving personality trait. And it's not necessarily a nurse. I know nurses that aren't nurturers, they're just here for the job. But then, but you have some people that they always show up for you. They'll cook for you. They pray for you. They pray over you and your babies in your life. Even when they're going through something, they love deeply and strong, and and powerful. I'll give you another situation, and I know I don't mean like I care about y'all. If I'm shouting certain people out without saying their names, I love y'all so much, and you guys have been an influence in my life. So that's why, I say what I say about y'all. But when I was in foster care, my first foster home, there was this beautiful individual. I love her to death. Her and I were only a month apart in age, right? But she had, her story. She had a really deep story. as we all do, but she would kind of mother us, even including myself, even though her and I were only a month apart. We were both 16 years old in foster care. She lost her mom. Her mom was in jail. Her father was in jail. I do believe he was either murdered or in jail. Her sister was also in the house prior to me, but then she ran away, all these crazy things. She was constantly worried about her family. Her family always relied on her. I'm talking about even her mother, even the elders in her family relied on this 16-year-old girl. And here she is in foster care with me, taking care of me, making sure I looked nice before I went to school, right? She showed me how to be a lady, how to what perfumes to wear, what to say to guys and what to watch out for. It was just crazy. And she checked, how was your day at school? How was life? This woman has to be one of the most beautiful souls I've ever come across in my life. This is the nurturer. And the thing is, you can tell her even to this day, like I low key watch her on Facebook. I don't comment on things because time has separated us, right? But she doesn't even know how much I care for her. But she is still that nurturing spirit. And sometimes there's children and people like that you can identify, oh, they're the mommy of the bunch or the poppy of the bunch, right? And it's a beautiful thing, and people like that, totally, them and the optimists, they need to really be protected in this world. Because one thing about nurturers is they don't usually get that same nurturing, that that same energy back. No one does that for them. They love deeply, but aren't receiving that same type of love. It's usually people pull from them and they constantly pull for them and they say, this is what I need. This is what I want. Thank you. If they even say thank you, and then they move on, leaving the nurture just empty handed, but they love that got love from them. And, it kind of pulls on the heartstrings a little, but some of these personality traits that I'm talking about, they kind of do, right? But they all, like I said, they forget to refill their own cup, so to speak. So if you're a nurturer, your superpower is basically your heart. So remember, don't forget to pour into yourself. Okay. The adventurer. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not gonna talk long about this because I don't know. I'm not that. I don't know. I'm not that. But the adventurer is the type that does live in the moment. They're always seeking the next thrill, opportunity, change. They're fun, spontaneous, ready to jump out the plane with no problem. You know what I'm saying? But the problem with that type of personality is they do lack consistency. They don't really commit, right? They don't really like to commit. So if you're messing with an adventure, like, I'm trying to date, but not really, sort of, kind of, right? And I notice everybody out here in California, that's what they do. They travel all the time. They want to do all the things. And I'm cool with that to a certain degree. But if that is your personality, I'm trying to tell you, we may not mix, bro, because I like being consistent. I'm a Capricorn. I like stability, and adventurers, typically that type of personality isn't that. Um, Last one, good one, the perfectionist. A lot of us have this already. A lot of us are perfectionists in our own way, but the perfectionist always wants everything right. I have got to say, the perfectionists I know for sure are Virgos. I don't know I was raised by a Virgo, okay? My grandmom was a Virgo, my aunt was a Virgo, but my mother was a Virgo. I'm trying to tell you, I don't know. Everything has to be right. They're right. Things are perfect. She was a straight A student. When she was in law school, she said that one of her she took a test and she got like a low A, and the professor like put some negative score and some remarks on her paper. Sis handled that. Like, she, oh no, not today. So she went up and, like a typical lawyer, debated back and forth and made her point, and sure enough, he overturned that negative A into an A plus. Like, whoa, like, you know what I'm saying? Like perfectionists, they take pride in details and they have very high standards. Okay, there's nothing wrong with this. Is actually an amazing thing, but they do struggle with anxiety and they fear failure, and it can be overwhelming and it can be consuming. It can take over their whole lifestyle. It's a great thing to have, but it could be exhausting just trying to be perfect all the time. That's one trait that, so my oldest ex, believe it or not, she has a couple of personality traits. She has a personality trait from her dad. um she has one from her grandmother, my dad, and myself, right? So her main personality though is more so being a perfectionist. Things have to be right. She is a straight A student. She she wanted to make sure that she had the highest grade point average possible before she graduated from school. Even after graduation, she still had me do all the things. I'm like, you already have a very high GPA, lady. You know what I mean? And then she'll be like, "Is that weighted or unweighted?" Because if it's weighted, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, it doesn't matter." She got that from my mother. I don't even know how my I think my mom, before she passed, she just passed on her personality to my kid. Man, it's crazy. It's crazy out in these streets. But being a perfectionist, they come off harsh sometimes, very dismissive, because they're the boss people too. My kid is like this. My mother was like this. My grandmother, she wasn't like this. I don't know if she was a perfectionist in her younger years or something like that. And then once my mom took over, it's like, okay, I don't need to be a perfectionist anymore, but whatever. But yeah, they do tend to be dismissive because they look at it like nobody can do things as well as I do. So just forget you, let me handle it. I got it. And that's where it becomes draining. Okay. So sometimes done is better than perfect. Okay. So I get it. I get it. But if this is you, you got to give yourself permission to be human. And I remember having conversations with my mom about that. And she used to say to me, I think you forget that I'm human. I don't forget that you're human. You just keep showing me a robot. Okay. I mean, that's what I feel like I grew up with sometimes. But her being a perfectionist has created the amazing person that you've seen before you. And I think that was her goal. I won't go into that route. So let's wrap this up. This has probably been the longest episode I've ever done in my life. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. These things have to be discussed. And why do they need to be discussed? Well, the reason why they need to be discussed is because, again, I'm going to always tie this into credit. I'm going to tie this into life, because if you're trying to accomplish particular goals, if you're trying to be an entrepreneur, if you're trying to have a business, start a business, run a business, if you're trying to elevate yourself within your job, so to speak, or whatever you're trying to do, you have to figure out exactly who you are, what your true personality type is, not what you're trying to be, or you wish you were, or you hope to be, what you actually are. You have to start from there. And sometimes that means looking yourself in the mirror, not just taking away how amazingly beautiful and attractive you are, because you are, but you have to understand that there's a negative side to you as well. And that could also be hindering you from moving forward in life, from being the best you that you can be. Once you can identify what personality trait you are, good or bad, you can then hone that personality to just, you can formulate it better, you can strengthen it. If you need to not lessen yourself. I will never say lessen yourself, but try to accommodate others so that they can receive you much better. So let's say, for example, because people look at me as a strong individual, and believe it or not, I actually hate being called strong. It boils my soul. I don't stop calling me strong because I am what you perceive to be an overachiever. I am an overachiever, but that's not something that I pride myself on. This is just my makeup. And I'm learning to not so much tone it down, but to um, share it with others where it's not alarming. Or it's not alarming, right? But hey, it is what it is. Take it or leave it. See, I tried a little bit. It doesn't work. But also understanding that you and your personality just simply might not be for everyone. And that's okay. That is okay. I know some people can't take a strong personality. I know some people that cannot take any sort of yes men or people pleasers. I call them yes men personally. My dad is a yes man. Okay, okay, okay. Right. And I'm just not that, you know. But if a person can't deal with your personality, that's fine. That's just they're not for you. But if you're trying to better yourself, figure out what your category is, make it better, work on it, take the time, love yourself enough where you want to take that time to figure it out. This will help you with the decisions that you make in life. Looping this into credit, I was having, and I speak of them often because I realize I talk to them, a lot about what I go through with my business. It's actually a client of mine, and he's a really good dude, travels a lot, and on the road, I think, as a truck driver. And he was just talking about again how great of a job that I've done and that he wouldn't be where he's at today as far as credit without me. And I'm like, nah, I'm the tool, I'm the vessel. But he needs my personality type to resolve some of these issues. You understand what I'm saying? But because he has the drive and he has the type of personality where it's like, listen, I want something. I'm trying to accomplish this goal. Nothing is going to stop me. He's identified and tuned into his own personality trait, connected with my personality trait to accomplish the goals that he is now on the road to getting. Okay. When I asked him, I said, when you first signed up with me, what was your credit score? It was a low credit score. Now it's a very high credit score. It's because he had the drive and the focus and the determination to do something about it, pay what needed to be paid, speak to whoever he needed to speak to, whatever. I also have another new client, same way. She and I don't talk often, but when we do, it's for a very long time and it's very detailed. She has the drive. Her personality is no nonsense, straight to the point. Let's get her done. Now, this seems easier than said than done. There are other people that say they have these type of personalities, but they will do absolutely nothing to better their situation and to better their life. They are people that fake and imitate a personality trait, and the real you will always come out, who you truly are. You can't fake who you are. You can try as long as you can, but you won't be successful in it. I can't fake being a personality type A. This is just who I am. Okay. When I walk in the door, boom, it's Tamaya Robles. This is what you get. Okay. When I need something done, I'm going to get it done. If I got to separate myself, handle it, come back, yeah, put my thing down, flip it in, reverse it. That's what's going to happen. I can't fake that. I don't like being fake. It makes me itch. I can't try. That's another reason why I stopped being a manipulator in a negative sense, because the reality is it's not real. You know what I'm saying? I'm making something. Okay, I'm not even gonna get into it, but yeah. So I say all this to say, if you're trying to better your financial situation, if you're trying to better your credit, if you're trying to better who you do business with, if you're trying to elevate your business, if you're trying to elevate yourself and get into circles, listen close to the microphone. If you're trying to sit at tables where people wouldn't typically accept you, figure out who you are, embrace it, perfect it, and then come again. Okay, try again. All right. The world is still going to be here till it's not. But other than that, by faking the funk and pretending and all that, it's not going to get you far. And again, I can always relate it to credit. I have another client. Well, she's not a client right now. I had to cancel her. She'll come back. She'll come back because she knows I'm a real one. But she owes me money. But prior to that, when I first spoke to her, she was saying all the things. She said the sad story, the grossly sad story, and how hard her life was, and her kid is being taken by the husband. The husband ain't shit, and you know all the violins. Okay, and now life is hard, and it's so very hard, and I can't believe how hard it is. And then I tell you how hard my life is, and I need you to fix my credit. I need you to get me this and this, and I need VA benefits for my husband before he divorces me, and do all the things. Matter of fact, I'm about to shed a tear. Here's some tears, Samaya. You see the tears? I'm crying. I'm crying bad. Oh my God. Now, I need you to do this basically for next to nothing. No, well, this is a business. That's not gonna help happen. So you need to pay me X, Y, and Z. Okay. So can I pay you half? Sure, you can pay me half. You can pay me half with the intentions that you're going to still pay me the rest of the money. I'll still work on it. Boom, boom, boom. Sis, pay me half, right? She was on my ass to make sure that I was doing my job, which I didn't need to do. I told y'all what type of personality I am. You know what type of business I run. You know how I run my business and all that. So all of a sudden things weren't as stressful anymore, things weren't as sad anymore. So it changed, and now I'm seeing the real her. So she was trying to manipulate me to get what she wants. What she didn't know is that I had a heads up on her personality type from the very beginning. But the thing was, the person that referred her over to me was trying to help her, because not like they fell for the sad story, but it did impact them enough to refer them over to me. But they warned me, keep your eye out. She may try to manipulate you. And sure enough, she did. Now, how does that help her? Because now she didn't pay me the rest of the money, and she thinks I'm still working on her credit, even though I told her I'm not, because she didn't pay me. That is, you see the difference in people and personality types. You, if you want something, you have to go get it, right? You have to have the drive and the desire to go get it. But if you're separating yourself and you're a negative person and you're a narcissist and you're all the things, you're not going to get but so far in life. You're only going to get so far, and that's period. So look at yourself, figure it. What is it about me that I keep attracting this and I want that, but I can't get it? What do I need to do? Is it still everybody else's problem, or is it you? Because even one thing I could say about me, even though I was a manipulator, I owned my shit. I owned it. If anyone caught me being manipulative, which was very rare, very, very rare, I'll tell you who would catch me. Old heads. I don't know what it is, but an old person can look in your soul and be like, this motherfucker got problems. You know what I'm saying? So and that was another thing. I never looked people in the eye. Like I never looked people in the face too. And you know, and people of color, our culture, we don't, you can't look me in my face. You got something to hide. You got some problems. Okay. And I ain't bumping with you. Okay. That's what and this eventually I would look a person in the face, especially if I was lying. I want you to believe in what I'm lying to you about. I'm gonna look you dead in your face. Don't blink, none of that. Some people still saw through that. But anyway, you have to figure out who you are and own up to it. And I always owned up to my shit, even to this day. So when people, for example, try to accuse me of doing something or being a way that I know I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I just tap into the personality traits. Oh no, I'm not this, I'm this. You may have felt that, but that, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm saying I've learned my lesson and I've bettered myself, and I'm always trying to do better, right? But I know what I do and what I don't do. And you need to figure out, what do you do and what can you handle? Maybe you want to be a type A personality, but the way your makeup is, you just simply aren't a type A personality, and that's okay. Maybe you realize, you know what, I am a narcissist. Let me take a few steps back because I don't like how I'm being received by the community or the public. They're picking up on it. I thought I was good at what I'm doing. Let me stop and maybe tap into the optimistic side of me that I've buried deep down inside so I can move forward, so I can accomplish what I truly want to accomplish. Maybe I should stop manipulating and just bare my soul and just really be honest, and maybe I'll get greater respect and the support that I actually need, as opposed to being a bitch ass. All right, something to think about. Something to think about. Now, I have talked y'all head off. I love it. I appreciate it. If you're still standing, that's what's up. What I will do for you guys, I will chop this up for you guys. So I'm saying, if you got a trip and you want to hear something, definitely play this episode. You should listen to it anyway. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Give me some feedback, y'all. Give me some feedback. What you think? What do you think about this episode? What personality type are you? Did you used to be one personality type, and then you switched up and you worked on yourself? Like, let me know, y'all. Anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go. Be sure to follow me on all my social media platforms. I am on Instagram, I am on Facebook. One of my main Facebook pages is what is it, credit oh this is my main Facebook group, is credit and first time home buyers plug. Yes, well, I got the plug. We're doing things out here in these streets. Home buyer workshops. We have an upcoming what we got going on. We have an upcoming nationwide referral Zoom call at the end of July. If you have a business, you want more clientele, more exposure, definitely get on the Zoom call. And everybody that gets on will have an opportunity to discuss their business. You have about 3 minutes, right? So tell us who you are, what you do, and maybe somebody will need your help, and you can link up with some people. It's going to be fire. It's going to be fire. Right? But yeah, be sure, like I said, like, comment, subscribe, download. I appreciate you guys for listening so very much. If you want a free consultation, definitely go to fixmycreditnow850.com. Schedule a consultation with me, only if you're serious, only if you're ready to get it popping, or if you need help structuring a plan. I don't charge for that, man. Let's just sit down at the table and figure it out. Okay. In the meantime, y'all, I wish you guys the best of luck on your credit journey. I will talk to y'all